Hello, welcome back to Harrison Reads Books. My name is Harrison, and today we're going to be talking about Stephen King's The Stand. So, I'm actually really proud of myself. Having read this whole book, 1,000+ pages. Oh, no. Yeah, about, what was it? 1,153 pages. I know I'm not the first person to read this behemoth, but this is, I forgot how long it is, and I'll have to double check that, but this is the longest book I have ever read. Honestly, after I finished this, I felt unstoppable. This honestly is what kind of kicked off my love of reading again. And then suddenly, it would take me like maybe 6 months to read like a 200-page book. Then after this, I'm like, yeah, fuck, I can knock that out. I read 1,100 pages. 200 pages ain't nothing. So thanks, Stephen King, for inspiring my reading craze again. But yeah, I mean, what hasn't been said about this book? Obviously, we know what it's about. It's about a flu virus that escapes from a military compound with a 99.9% kill rate, and it kills like, yeah, about that much, about 99.9% of the population of the earth, leaving a few survivors on the earth who side with either the good or the bad. The good represented by this lovely lady, Mother Abigail, and the bad being represented by Randall Flagg, the man, the dark man, the man who wears jean jackets and breaks people out of prison after they're eating rats. Oh my goodness, there's a lot to get through. I'm not going to do like a plot overview, but I guess because I'm still trying to figure out how things are going to go with this channel. I guess I'm going to take from the previous video. My favorite part in this book has to be the last half of this book is probably my favorite. When our heroes get to Las Vegas and they're locked up in prisons and there's like confrontations left and right. I finished this book last year, so I can't quite recall like specific names, but the lady who throws herself out the window, who was kind of raped by the Randall Flagg, that was a pretty defiant moment and made me cheer for that. It was a terrible loss, but she went out with style. And particularly the one who dies in the prison, and he's obviously very defiant against Randall Flagg, and he's killed for that defiance. That was a great moment as well. And there's one haunting moment that happened in this book that even with all these 1,100 pages read, it's one moment that stuck with me very specifically. And it was it was an early chapter when the virus is kind of raging through the world, and it kind of does like very specific vignettes of specific people in various parts of the United States. And the one part that's stuck with me was the little girl. Her entire family was killed, and this little girl's kind of going out and playing, and then she falls into like a well and then breaks both of her legs, and she's trapped in this well, and she's crying and screaming, and nobody's going to come rescue her, and she just dies in this hole, like this little girl. And I'm like, that would suck. And it out of all the terrible things to happen in this book, that's the one thing that stuck with me. And to kind of contrast that, I think it was in the same moment, in the same chapter, there's a part where a girl is worried that she may have caught an STD, but Stephen King, being the little wry fucker he is, says, well, in actuality she got the virus, so that's the least of her worries. I thought that was pretty funny. But gosh, such fleshed out real characters. I guess that's one thing Stephen King does. I will say though, the middle part of the book, the huge chunk where they're like in Colorado, that's where it really slowed down for me. And I quite remember, like, specifically reading, and I'm like, oh God, they're just doing meetings, town meetings. They're crying while the national anthem plays, and I'm like, meeting after meeting. But of course, the thriller aspect of those parts is the crazy obsessive guys. I want to say his name is Ralph. I'm probably wrong, but you know what I'm talking. You know who I'm talking about. The crazy guy who blows up the command center with all of our heroes. Oh, and I was really sad to see that it was the guy who played the deaf guy was played by Rob Lowe in the TV movie, and I'm like, oh no. And you know what? Also, the TV movie did help a lot with me picturing these characters as people. Putting Gary Sinise in my mind's eye, reading the book, and oh God. I can't remember the actor's name, but the guy who played Randall Flagg, it was very, very easy to see him in this role in the book in my mind. So I wanted, okay, let me first say I loved the book, but by the end, the story ended, the nuclear bomb went off in Las Vegas. They were all consumed by holy fire, and I'm like, okay, great, what a wonderful finale. But then there's like I don't know, 160, 70 pages of our two main characters journeying home, and I'm all like, fuck, come on, we know you're gonna get, well, I don't know. At least I maybe knew they were going to get there, but I was like, hurry up. We know it's a hard journey. You're going through a storm, But, I'd say after maybe 1,000 pages, you're like, hurry up. I felt really proud finishing this book. I figured after that, if I could finish an 1,100-page book, then I could finish anything. So, in actuality, I read this first, and then immediately right after, I jumped into Stephen King's It. So, maybe sometime down the line, I have some thoughts on It. Stephen King got me into reading long-ass books. So, along with this, I'm also reading David Foster Wallace's Infinite Jest, which is that is difficult to get through. This was accessible at the very least. Demanding, of course, but it's not like it was, well, that gets into a whole other conversation about Infinite Jest. This is not as difficult as Infinite Jest, obviously. So, but yeah, I mean, I feel like I've just joined that club of people who have finished this book, and I'm proud to be a part of that club. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Stephen King's The Stand. Usually I like to give away my books after reading them, but I have actually held on to this, and I think I have the reason why is I think I have the notion that I might honestly reread this, as crazy as it sounds. Either that or maybe, acquire the audiobook and just sort of, since I've already read through it, it'd just be sort of like reliving it. So maybe just kind of listening to it while I'm driving home or going to work. So, but yeah, no, those are my thoughts on Stephen King's The Stand. I think going forward, the seasonal idea, kind of doing like summer reads, winter reads, fall reads, what have you, sounded good in theory, but I think these videos may be a little bit more palatable with covering just one book per video. So going forward, I think that's what I'm going to do. And when there's a little bit of a slump, obviously I have a huge library to choose from of books that I've already read. So, but I'll talk about those when I'm, it's going to take me a while to finish a book. But yeah, expect a little bit shorter videos this time. And for the people who have commented, thank you very much. Your comments mean the world to me. And I really hope you enjoy what's going to be discussed next. Well, even I don't know. I will say that I'm reading through a pretty fucked up book called Playground. If you know what that is, what did I get myself into? I'm also reading through Clive Barker's Weave World, and obviously Infinite Jest, but that's more of like when I feel like I want to knock out a chapter a day. That's not going to be a continuous read. But yeah, I got a lot of stuff coming up. So if you enjoy what you see, be sure to subscribe to me. And if maybe you have any suggestions you want of the channel, of content, of books maybe I should read. I would love to hear your thoughts. But until then, my name is Harrison, and thanks for watching.